Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us, whether that be live or on the recorded version of this. My name is Michael Hampton. I work for the Springboard charity and I'm part of the team who put together the GEMS programme and this GEMS series of webinars. I'm joined today by the fantastic Steve Heap, the General Secretary of the Association of Festival Organisers, and I got through that all without stumbling, so I'm very happy. But Steve, could you just give everyone a little bit of insight into you, what you do, and where you're calling today from?
Of course. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I hope I'll be of some use to you. I also run a small company called Mrs. Casey Music. We're event managers and producers. We have a record label, and we've been in the festival business, would you believe, since the 1960s. First going to a couple of small festivals, and then as the industry gradually took off, we started working on concert promotion, festivals and events, and our record label, and built the company from there. We're now cutting back a little bit on our festival work and concentrating on running the association, which has been very valuable during this particular COVID crisis, offering opportunities to many of our members to provide them with information, facts, figures, and support in this most difficult period. There'll be plenty of time for questions, and there's also a chat room open for you to type in your questions if you like, and I'll try and answer them as we go, and then leave some time at the end for further questions. But what I wanted to really give you an update on is how COVID-19 had really affected the festival and events industry. And I'd like to start by really just sort of outlining where we were in February 2020. Seems like an awful long time ago now, but in real terms, we were pretty busy, all preparing for a 2020 festival season. But in the background, there were these noises about this virus that had come out of China and was starting to work its way around through Europe. So as an association, we started to keep an eye on the World Health Organization website and the postings that they were giving us. And the overriding message then was, this is going to be very tricky. There is no vaccine at the moment, but we hope there will be one soon. On that basis, we suggested to our members that they could get on with planning for 2020 and see how things worked out. However, what happened next? Well, the early part of 2020 season, the virus had started creeping into the UK, and festival organisers were getting more and more worried, especially those in the early part of the season. You can imagine how it would be if you were an event manager or organiser or owner, for that matter, in April and May, that here in March you were being told this virus was getting worse. As lockdown happened, it took us probably 24 hours to sit back in absolute shock and horror and look at quite what we could do. And there was no contest, really. We had to start recommending to our members that the best thing they could do was to postpone their events. We avoided the word cancel because although there is an absolute right of a customer to claim back their money if the event is not happening, we felt the word cancel seemed very final, and postpone was more like giving a little bit of an opportunity for those festivals in the early season to just think about maybe September or even October as being dates that they could operate. It didn't take very long to realize that this was going to be even trickier than the beginning. We went through lockdown and even into the early stages of the reopening, we we're still recommending to festival organisers that the late season would possibly have to be postponed as well. When we finally went to print on how it is for the festival scene, we calculated we had 95% of the festival industry had been either cancelled or postponed, which was devastating, not just for the festivals, but for the supports as well, the industry that supply us with infrastructure and so on. Things like PA, lighting, marquees, toilets, power supply generators, everything and everybody that is connected was now starting to feel the pinch. I think there were there was really a great cry went out from the festival industry that asked the supporting industries to just allow us to transfer our deposits and our bookings to 2021. The industry could not afford to give up the deposits, no matter how it said non-refundable in the contract. We simply could not afford to lose those deposits and have to pay them again for the new season. We did take a little bit of legal advice, which we offered to our members, in that it could be termed that if the government had said you cannot do this, then you were not really responsible, and so it would be perfectly okay for you to request your deposit moved over to the new year. As it happened, we started getting good reports from the supply industry. The festival industry is a bit like an ecosystem. It trickles down right down to the last few people at the end of the chain. And without doubt, they were coming back in really supportive mood and giving deposits over to 2021. We saved the festival scene an absolute fortune. So there were some very big steps taken at that point. We gradually started turning to government as things like the furlough scheme were offered. But you probably won't be surprised to know that not many people in the festival industry were able to take advantage of furlough, mostly because the number of professional people at the top end of the festival world are quite small in relation to the number at the self-employed, part-time, or even voluntary sector that run festivals. Working with colleagues, especially at UK Music, who have the ear of DCMS, that's the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, sometimes called Digital Media and Sport. But we've got good contacts there, and UK Music helped us get some real hands-on government thoughts and information about what they thought was actually happening. So furlough was available to those who could take advantage, and still is, of course, even though any minute now it's going to be reduced and tapered, as they call it, until the end of October, when it comes to an end. We have applied to government and asked them to extend furlough because the festival industry is seasonal. We're not like a car plant. We can't be closed one day and open the next day. If festivals are cancelled or postponed, the likelihood of them happening in this current financial year is actually quite remote. So we have got to somehow survive right through to next season. So we have asked government to consider that situation, and I'll come back to that in a moment with some thoughts on how government might support us. There was government support for business rates. For those of us who have offices, we were able to get a grant to help us through the period. But in the main, festivals don't have their own office space. They do, in some cases, pay business rates on greenfield sites. And we asked if that could apply to us, and unfortunately, it didn't. So any festival paying business rates for a greenfield site, although many applied for the business rates relief, they didn't get it. And I've got some more information for you in a little while on that. Moving on, we looked carefully at how the government were outlining who they would support and how and why. And you will hear on breakfast television and many other news programs industry leaders talking about how important it is that the government supports them and how they have been the hardest hit. Well, we did that too. Who knows whether we were the hardest hit, but everybody else is saying they were, so we did too. And we went into bat with DCMS on the grounds that we were one of the first industry bodies to feel the pinch of COVID, i.e. by having to cancel everything. And we will probably be the last to recover, i.e. 2021 season. Very little going on this year. And at that point, government started to recognise that festivals, events, and the general entertainment movement was really quite crucial. And there was plenty of evidence offered up to this, not least of which the EIF, that's the Events Industry Forum, research conducted in 2018, demonstrating the enormous value of the outdoor events industry to the country's economy. You can access free of charge a copy of that from eventsindustryforum.co.uk. Have a look at the website and that will guide you to that report in full, free of charge. It's very, very useful and I think will be of some help to you in your studies. I think by this point we were now into kind of May, early June, and we had managed to grab the DCMS ear, and they had started to pay attention. And as I mentioned before, this was thanks to some good work by UK Music, amongst others, and other festival associations as well. We started looking at how this would affect the job market. And we were clearly very concerned. There are approximately 85,000 jobs involved in the festival industry. These are like production crews, PA, lighting, infrastructure suppliers of all different kinds. They were starting to suffer. They had made use of the furlough scheme. The very difficult situation we find ourselves in is when the furlough scheme ends at the end of October, these people will still have no work because the festival and outdoor events industry will still be asleep for another winter. We started to refer to it as the 3-winter industry, which was, of course, the 2019 to 20 winter year, when obviously we were used to working through the winter and not having much income. Then what has become another winter with no income, the 2020 summer season, and now we have to get through yet another winter in the 2021 proper winter. Now, there's no other industry that I know of has had to manage that kind of difficult scenario. We're expecting that on September 1st, which is the legal date for identifying redundancy, we are expecting there to be a considerable number of redundancies dished out in the supply chain especially. It will perhaps lead to more jobs being available when the industry gets going again, hopefully in 2021. The part of the job problem that we have across the sector is the loss of the skill. When somebody's been in the PA, lighting, or infrastructure part of the industry for 20 years, they've got enormous skill, and so they might find themselves driving a van for Tesco's, or becoming a plumber, or a painter and decorator, or indeed a domestic electrician. I know of some that have gone that road already. But when they do that, they take with them those skills of knowing how to organise a festival and event site. So it has become a problem. Towards the end of June, in early July, the government started talking about how they could help us, which was an enormous bonus in a way. And this was just before the £1.57 billion for arts and heritage was actually announced. They accepted one of the suggestions that we at UK Music, of which we are part, put forward, and that was to cut VAT on our sales. And they took that on board. So from the 15th of July to the 12th of January 2021, any sales of tickets for outdoor and indoor events, including concerts and even arenas and the bigger scale concerts tours, will be reduced from a 20% VAT levy down to 5%. Now, I won't do the math for you, but if you imagine a weekend ticket at £140, including 20% of VAT, and reduce that to 5% of VAT and keep the balance, then the organisers of festivals can pocket the change, and it will go some way towards helping. There are already some festivals and events have decided to split the difference with their customers, and they've reduced the price of tickets in order to sell more, which could lead to the same effect. By selling more tickets in that period to the 12th of January, they could find themselves with quite a pot of VAT refund. Of course, we thanked government for this, but immediately asked them to extend it, because the 12th of January, we're barely recovering from Christmas, and we as an industry don't really start selling the bulk of our tickets until March, April, possibly even May. And so an extension of that we've asked for, in fact, through to the end of the festival season 2021, which would give us that 15% reduction in VAT right through to the end of October. At the moment, I would hope the Chancellor will listen to that and at the very best come up with a compromise deal, which will be of great value. We then went on to receive the great news that they had been listening to the many, many arts organisations and festival managers and events managers, heritage buildings, now referred to as crown jewels, would be awarded £1.57 billion. That sounds like a lot, but in fact, when the crown jewels are dealt with, i.e. Royal Albert Hall, the Royal Opera House, many major orchestras and so on around the industry, they will find themselves with not a lot left for everybody else. We understand at the moment that there is likely to be somewhere in the region of £800 million available for others to be using to support their industry. The bankers will be the Arts Council of England. So some of that 1.57 will already have been devolved to the 3 other nations, so reducing it even more. We have at the moment no detail on how the Arts Council will distribute or even accept applications, but we do believe that apart from a small amount for music venues, there will be very little ring fencing going on. So perhaps a level playing field for everybody else is what we're hoping for. At the moment, we're expecting news on that by the weekend of this very week. That might give us some glorious news. Who knows? What we do know is there are more and more mini festivals, outdoor concerts, and special events starting to pop up. I visited one myself last week to check out the site and do a little broadcast from there. This was Gisburn Park near Clitheroe in Lancashire. Beautiful country house area. The house now a hospital. The country land is quite stunning and perfect for outdoor concerts. The organisers there had put in an enormous amount of effort and money into social distancing, and were already running very successful concert series. On stage, it was very limited to string quartets and solo performers and the film show. So not really like a festival. The audience were being held into what were like hexagonal 6-meter pods around the ground in front of the stage. Drinks and food were by table service only. So the queuing was for getting in and getting out and for toilet facilities. But that queuing was all at 2-meter distance and seemed to be working. So it was a success from that point of view. And that, in a way, brings me to tell you about the government's guidance, which is really valuable. DCMS commissioned the Events Industry Forum, of which I'm chairman, and our secretary, Jim Winship, who has done a super job on helping DCMS write the guidance for the running of COVID-safe outdoor events. And again, this is freely available on the Events Industry Forum website. You'll find it there, and it's on the website not just to save the paper, but to be updated as and when the rules change, hopefully all in the right direction and not in the unfortunate direction of currently Spain. Alongside that guidance, you'll find on the DCMS website, which you can find through gov.uk. It's as simple as that. Work your way through to DCMS, and there you'll find the guidance for performing arts. That's the one that talks about the well-publicized business of wind instruments and singers on stage causing all kinds of problems with spreading the virus. It's an interesting paragraph or two on that issue. And musicians, singers, and the government are very heavily divided on what is a problem and what isn't. So there is now a very big lobby from the arts industry to convince government that performance with wind instruments and singers on stage is not the problem they think it is. I'll tell you a little bit about the Events Industry Forum. Basically, it's a group of people, the leaders of associations brought together from around the events industry. There are now 30 of us representing PA companies, transport, security, toilets, PA, lighting, generators, etc., venues, and so on, and many of them. We come together in person just a couple of times a year, and we meet on screen fairly regularly. We have a board of 6 people who make decisions about which way the events industry is going to jump and who we're going to look after and support and who not. In the main, we're very, very open door. It's in the title. We're a forum. We're not a lawmaking body. We don't make the rules. We give the platform for people to discuss how things will be done. We also are the publishers of the Purple Guide. Again, go on the EIF website and there you'll find the Purple Guide. For those of you who don't know, this is the guide to health and safety and presentation of outdoor events in the UK. It's a web-based publication, so it's constantly being updated and changed. And there will be a new chapter on COVID quite soon. The next chapter that will be added to the guide at the moment will be on sustainability, and that's effectively being written by people who will call it the Green Guide. It's a really valuable piece of information for anybody in the events industry. We call it the Bible. It costs £25 a year. From whenever you sign up, you have access to it for a whole year, including all of the variations and the changes and the updates and the new chapters. There are some universities have bought the university version, which gives students free access through that system. The Events Industry Forum is a not-for-profit organisation, and having sold the Purple Guide, we found ourselves with quite a large bank account. So the board then decided that we would make good use of that money by helping the wider events industry as much as we possibly could. And we have done research. We've given grants to all kinds of different organizations to help them develop their own events industry in lots of different ways. It's an open book for application. And again, you'll find more information about that on the EIF website. The AFO, of which I am the General Secretary, was started in 1987 with just 6 festivals meeting in the back room of a pub. Where else? And we just simply wanted to share our information, share our knowledge, share ideas. From there, the association moved very quickly into dozens of members and is now 250 members. Not all festivals, but over 150 of our members are festivals. And there's lots more out there. We believe that just music alone in the festival world, there's at least 980 in the UK. So there's a lot of people out there not our members, but they will also benefit from the work we've been doing. For instance, the VAT cut and a share of the large Arts and Heritage grant will be available to any festival, whether they're members or not. My job is to do what I've just been telling you, really, to keep our members and others up to date with government policy, with the ups and downs of the festival movement. 3 years ago, we did a great deal of work with the PRS, with Performing Rights Society, to establish a really valuable percentage license level for the performance of music at outdoor events. And a lot of festivals benefited from that. And in turn, musicians benefit from the collection of those license fees. The AFO is also responsible for a lot of training. We have 2 online training sessions coming up in September on sustainability, where we have speakers on screen, not unlike we are now, talking about how festivals can grab this opportunity of not running in 2020 and use their time to make sure that their 2021 festival is as sustainable as possible. We have to play our part in saving the planet. We have a kind of motto that says something like, we've spent over 2,000 years wrecking the planet. Perhaps now we've realized nature will forgive us and give us a second chance. All I hope is that the COVID crisis isn't nature's way of giving us a good slap on the wrist, and we do overcome it. Who knows? What I do believe is that 2021 is going to be a great year for festivals. We have to believe it. There will be a vaccine. We have to believe it. Scientists are very good at doing it when it's needed, and they've pulled the plugs out for this one. They normally take 5 years. They're going to crack this in a year. And I have to feel that that is what's going to happen. Otherwise, our 2021 season and the future of the festival industry is dead and buried. We're not prepared to let it go. So we will trust in the science, and we will organise our 2021 festival season to be the best that it's ever been. We believe that with a little bit of help from us as organisers, our customers will come back, they will feel safe, and they will want to party. So 2021 is going to be a great festival season. I've got a bit of time left for questions. I think somebody said I was rounding up about 11:30, and it says here it's 11:29. So there we are. And I can't hear you. There you are.
Done it again. Every single webinar that we do, I forget to unmute my mic. No, fantastic timing. And actually, I actually have a question for you, Steve, based on what you said, if you don't mind. So when you were talking about the reduction of VAT, if it's not extended past the January 2021 date, do you think we'll see a large amount of festivals in the kind of February, March, April time? Or do you think they'll be stacked more towards the start of the summer and the end of spring?
I think festivals are great traditionalists. They have very loyal audiences, and most of all, organisers are resilient. They will dig in, they'll stick to their traditional dates, and they'll go for it. We have, of course, recommended to every festival to sell as many tickets as they possibly can before the end of January, January 12th. If we get it extended, even better. But let's assume we won't. And then if we do, it'll be a bonus. But I think festivals will stick to their traditional dates. There will be some casualties. We will lose some. In fact, we've lost some already. But there will be others. There are lots of people out there who think they can step up and organise a festival or an event of some kind.
Fantastic. Okay. I'm just having a look at the comments. If anyone does have any comments, feel free to post them quickly.
When I speak with students at Derby University, there may be some with us now, I don't know. I always get this 3 or 4 minute absolute silence while they think of what the questions really ought to be. And what I would encourage you to do is stop listening to me now, think what the question might be. But if you don't think of it, I'm more than happy to receive it by email anytime you like. I really want to encourage you to work in my industry. I've been in it for a very long time, and I'm not going to be here forever, and I want you to take over. So I'll help you as much as I possibly can to get it right.
I think we'll have to do the questions by email then, in which case be prepared for a flood of emails, Steve, on that. But thank you so much for your time today, Steve. I hope everyone watching will agree. It's been really eye-opening and a great summary of exactly what's gone on. So, yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone, and hope to see you for the next couple of webinars. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good luck. Bye-bye now.